Got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters. Like the pounding of the hammer and the clatter of the clamor of Manhattan's panorama, got the jitters. Get my broker, buy 100,000 shares of tapioca. Get Chicago on the wire, hello Mr. McIntyre, tapioca's going higher, got the jitters. Bought a penthouse with a view, hadn't had a chance to see the view. Bought a shiny Cadillac, always use a taxi there and back. Got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters. From the moment that I get up on the go without a let up, waiter bring another setup, got the jitters. Hello everyone, it's me, Ethan Uslan, and I'm back with episode number 76 of the Carolina Shout podcast, and clearly I got the jitters. That song was from 1934 by John Jacob Loeb, and I have never heard of him before either, so don't feel bad. And the lyrics to I Got the Jitters were by Paul Francis Webster, who I have heard of before. He wrote lots of hits, and 30 years later, in the 1960s, he wrote the lyrics to Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can, spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out! Here comes the Spider-Man. Paul Francis Webster, same guy. I Got the Jitters was one of his earliest efforts, but I think it's up there with Spider-Man. Wonderful lyrics. And did you catch the bit about calling your broker to buy 100,000 shares of tapioca? I think that's one of the most underappreciated near rhymes of all of popular music. 100 shares of tapioca. Who would invest in tapioca? What a dumb idea. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's not so dumb. Let me look it up. Oh my goodness. Look at this. It says here, I Googled it. It says, tapioca market is estimated to be worth $4.1 billion and is further projected to be worth $6.3 billion by 2033. And get this, in the coming years, there will be various growth opportunities for the tapioca market due to its use in a variety of industries. In addition to being gluten-free, grain-free, and high in carbohydrates, tapioca plays an essential role in preventing food allergies, celiac disease, and gluten sensitivity. Therefore, the tapioca market is expected to grow significantly as a result of these medical benefits. Yes, this makes perfect sense. People, listen to me now, thank me later. I am bullish on tapioca. I'm going all in. Apple, sell. Microsoft, sell. Tesla, sell. Tapioca, buy. Look, folks, don't just buy tapioca stock. Buy a tapioca ETF, so you're essentially investing in the entire tapioca industry. And load up on physical tapioca. I'm cashing out my son Henry's college savings fund, and I'm ordering 1,200 sacks of physical tapioca. I'll store it in the garage. It's always good to have physical tapioca on hand. It's a great hedge against inflation, and you can also use it to make pudding. Can't do that with gold. Okay, since we're doing some stock trading today, I found some stock market musical selections to play. And the first is Wait Till the Sun Shines Nelly from 1905. Music by Harry Von Tilzer and lyrics by Andrew B. Sterling. This is a very famous song, and you might already be familiar with it. And if you are, then you probably are wondering what it has to do with the stock market. So I'll tell you what it has to do with the stock market. Every New Year's Eve, on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, the traders stop trading, and they join together to sing Wait Till the Sun Shines Nelly. This tradition has been going on since 1934, when the market was in the toilet and stock traders were indeed waiting for the sun to shine. Nelly. The lyrics to the song are really a nice metaphor for the investing experience. You got to be patient with the stock market. You got to wait till the sun shines. It's time in the market, not timing the market, right? You gotta just wait till the bull market comes, Nelly. And I could see how that would have been a nice morale booster to sing that song during the Great Depression. And another thing about Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nelly, is that it's traditionally a barbershop song. And barbershop music, of course, has traditionally been only men, but that has changed. There are lots of women barbershop groups, choruses. But traditionally, barbershop singing was primarily men. And guess what else is pretty much men only? The New York Stock Exchange. Hate to say it, but it's true. They didn't have a woman stock trader until 1967. Her name was Muriel Siebert. I looked it up. And they didn't even have a women's restroom on the 7th floor until she made a stink. Bad choice of words there. They didn't have a women's restroom until she lobbied the powers that be. Okay, enough bathroom humor. It is time to play Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nelly. And I have a special guest saxophonist with me today, my 13-year-old son, Henry von Uslan. Henry, I'll give you an 8-bar intro, then you do your thing. Ready? All right. So that was Henry Uslan playing Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nelly on the alto saxophone. Henry, could you introduce yourself to the podcast audience and maybe tell them how old you are and what school you go to?
Great question, Ethan.
Please don't call me that, and
I'm
thank you.
13 years young, and I'm an 8th grade student at South Charlotte Middle.
All right. And maybe you could tell folks what instruments you play other than the saxophone.
I've been known to dabble every blue moon on the flute and clarinet.
And don't forget that other instrument that you recently played for the Youth Orchestra of Charlotte concert.
Oh, that's right. The nightingale whistle.
Yeah, I like that. Can you tell people more about the nightingale whistle?
Well, I was voluntold to play a small black whistle on Haydn's Toy Symphony. And the nightingale whistle is a small whistle that is filled with water, and when blown, it resembles the sound of a nightingale.
And is it fun to play?
It's a pain in the ass.
Henry, why is it a pain to play?
It's unreliable. You see, to play it, the pH must be perfect, the potability, the salinity, the nitrites and nitrates, the turbidity must be perfect.
Really? I didn't know it was so involved.
Yeah,
All right.
it's really something.
Back to the saxophone. Do you have a favorite saxophone player?
Yes, a particularly fond saxophonist of mine was a New Orleans native by the name of Sidney Bechet.
Yeah, tell us about him.
Well, one aspect of Sidney Bechet, of his lifestyle that has influenced me, is that when he was young, he used to skip school to play clarinet. And, that's something that I think I have learned from him, adapted from him.
So you're saying that you skipped school to play clarinet.
That is correct.
Moving on to the next question. I know you're only 13, but do you know what you want to do when you grow up?
Tapioca.
All right, well, that was very nice of Henry to join us. He has since slipped out of the house, not sure where he is, probably the pool hall, and I suspect that's where he is when he's supposed to be in school, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to play for you some Scott Joplin next. I've got Scott Joplin's Wall Street Rag coming up, and it's a great piece of music that I think you're going to enjoy. Wall Street Rag was composed in 1909 when Joplin was playing piano at Fraunce's Tavern, which is near Wall Street. And Fraunce's Tavern is still around and has been around since 1671. Can you believe that? 1671. That's insane. And the tavern has an incredible history. George Washington gave a speech there. All kinds of Revolutionary War people hung out there. And in 1974, 4 people were killed there and 50 injured by a bomb planted by members of the Armed Forces of National Liberation for Puerto Rico. That's a whole nother topic that I'm not going to get into. Very interesting, but that's for another day. So Scott Joplin was playing piano in Fraunce's Tavern, and the clientele consisted of Wall Street people. I'm sure Joplin was just minding his business, playing piano, but maybe he overheard some good financial advice. Maybe he struck up unlikely friendships with Wall Street tycoons. Who knows? But it seems like his experience there was positive because he decided to name his rag the Wall Street Rag. Now, the music to the Wall Street Rag has some interesting things going on that I'd like to address before I play it. Each section, or strain, contains a short note from the composer. The first strain reads, "Panic in Wall Street, brokers feeling melancholy." And the music here is a bit melancholy. Here, have a listen. I'm just going to play the short snippet of melancholy. Yeah, I'd say that's melancholy. I mean, it's not the most melancholy thing I've ever heard, but it's melancholy for ragtime. Ragtime and melancholy don't really go together. So for ragtime, that's about as melancholy as it gets. I mean, you could play it a lot slower, and people do that. But then I think once you do that, it's not ragtime anymore. It's the Wall Street Rag, not the Wall Street Dirge. So I think, you got to find a balance of melancholy, but also ragtime. So that's the first strain. And the second strain, Joplin wrote, "Good Times Coming." Now, I don't know how these stockbrokers knew good times were coming. Perhaps they observed what they call market capitulation, when stocks have hit rock bottom and there is nowhere to go but up. If you're a professional stock trader, you can probably recognize these kind of market events, but people like me and you, not so much. But so Joplin wrote Good Times Coming, and the music becomes joyful. If you didn't know better, you might think that good times had arrived. But no, the good times are still coming. And then we get to the third strain, and then Joplin writes, Good times have come. So, yeah, finally we're in the green. We're making money. And this part's also quite happy, but in the score it's marked mezzo piano, so you have to play it somewhat softly. I guess it's a more muted kind of joy. Like you just made some money in the stock market, but you don't want to go around telling people how smart you are because that would be obnoxious and nobody would like you. And there's nothing worse than when you're at a party and some smug, big-mouthed know-it-all comes over and tells you about how much money they made on their stock options. So you don't want to be like that. So you're keeping quiet and you're keeping all your exuberance bottled in. Not sure if that's what Joplin had in mind here, but that's my interpretation. And then finally we get to the final, most joyful of all, fourth strain. And there it says, listening to the strains of genuine Negro ragtime, brokers forget their cares. Scott Joplin, in case you didn't know, was black, so if anyone knew what genuine Negro ragtime was, it was him. And that fourth strain, it's really smoking. It's Joplin at his finest. Let me tell you, when that kicks in, you will indeed forget your cares. You can actually hear the S&P 500 soaring straight up into the stratosphere. So let's get to it. The Wall Street Rag by Scott Joplin, as played by yours truly. This is a unique piece of ragtime that brings us on a financial journey from bear market to bull market. Here we go. All right. Sounds like they just had a big ragtime dance party on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, which is not hard to believe. After all, they sang Wait Till the Sun Shines Nelly over there. Why not follow it up with the performance of the Wall Street Rag? I'm sure they could wheel out a piano. And, that bit about the melancholy brokers in the beginning. In retrospect, it really does sound melancholy compared to the unbridled exuberance of the finale. So yeah, that beginning was pretty melancholy. Joplin did a good job there. All right, and I'd also like to tell you that I've been practicing this Wall Street rag for weeks like an unhinged maniac. I was thinking maybe I'd like to make an all Joplin CD one day, or an online album or something. So I thought since I'm getting the Wall Street rag under my fingers, I should make a recording that's 100% perfect. And that kind of messed with my mind, that perfectionist mentality. And I practiced it so much that Kate got really annoyed. And now the Wall Street rag is banned from our home. And I don't blame her. I think I over-practiced it. I made a whole bunch of recordings of it. But for each one, I found some picky reason for why it wasn't good enough. And then I just kept making recording after recording after recording. Next thing you know, I recorded it like 50 times. And each time I thought there was some kind of blemish. But now a few days have gone by and I haven't played the Wall Street rag. And I went back and I listened to these recordings and I don't really hear these blemishes. You got to step away. Recording really messes with my mind. Anyway, I'm going to play for you another recording I made of the Wall Street rag. Hope you're not sick of it yet. And I played it like 100 times, and I'm not sick of it yet, so you can handle 2 times. And this one's at a faster tempo. I like this one as well. In fact, if I was to make a CD, I'm not sure which one I'd use, this faster one or the one I just played for you. So here's Wall Street Rag version number 2. Check it out. That was smoking. Man, I love that rag, and I love that last strain. That genuine Negro ragtime, as Joplin called it, that's the stuff, I'm telling you. That last section, that sure sounded a lot like what later was going to be known as jazz. It wasn't that different from something Fats Waller might have done. That was something else, the Wall Street rag. Put that one in the good pile. And if you're inclined and if you have an opinion, let me know which recording you like better, my first or second recording, the slower or the faster one. Or let me know which recording you despised the least. I'd be curious to hear what you think. I like how the first one was at a more moderate pace in the beginning because you got a more melancholy vibe for the bear market. But I really liked how the second version ended, like the stockbrokers worked themselves into some kind of ragtime frenzy, and I can picture them spinning around like a bunch of whirling dervishes in suits at the New York Stock Exchange, throwing $100 bills around without a care in the world. So yeah, let me know which version you like better, if you want. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the music and the commentary, and I was really happy that Henry got to join us. I'll try to get him on the podcast more often, but he has a very busy social calendar, and he does have to go to school, and I'm going to make sure he actually goes to school. Anyway, summer is fast approaching, so keep on tuning in. Maybe he'll be back in the summer. And before I go, since it's the end of the school year, I want to congratulate everyone who is graduating from middle school or high school or college this year. And for you recent graduates, I just want to say one word to you. Just one word. Are you listening? Tapioca. There's a great future in tapioca. Think about it. Will you think about it? Enough said. That's a deal.